Welcome to one of my Gem Talks, and this one is long overdue. It is about turquoise. You know, there's a lot to talk about turquoise. It's the oldest gemstone, according to the Library of Congress, known to man. Now, how do they know this? Because in Egyptian tombs, they have found beads. And actually, you can see some of these Egyptian tombs if you go to the Louvre Museum, actually in the basement. And they have jewelry that has actually been carbon dated to 5,000 and 7,000 BC. So that would be about 9,000 years old. And you'll see coral and you'll see beads of turquoise, because they used to get turquoise out of Persia, which is now Iran, way back then. So turquoise is an amazing stone that dates back from really the dawn of our civilization. And it's always been appreciated, always been loved. But it can be complicated because it's the way that it forms. So let me give you a little bit of background on turquoise and what it is and how it forms. It's about 5 to 6 on the Mohs hardness scale. So it's kind of a medium hardness. It's not the world's hardest stone and all that, but it's a beautiful stone. And 5 to 6, you can still wear it every day. It's really not a problem. It'll scratch a little bit easier than quartz and other gemstones like that, but honestly, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Turquoise is always opaque, which means that light won't shine through it. Its coloring element is copper. The chemical formula, I had to write this down, it is a copper aluminum phosphohydroxide, which is a fancy way of saying that it has copper and aluminum, phosphates, hydrogen, and oxygen in it. So that's its actual chemical formula. It's a beautiful stone that gets its color from copper. So the more copper that is inside the turquoise, the darker it will be. And I'm going to show you some examples of that in just a second. Turquoise is a funny stone because when it's born, when nature makes it, it has two things that separate it from other gemstones. First of all, it's very porous. So if I were to take a piece of turquoise here, right over here, and I would look at it under a microscope, very high intensity, its crystal structure is porous. So it's kind of open, almost like a sponge. So its crystalline structure kind of opens up like this. That little gap that it has there is just about the size of a water molecule, H2O. So as the water seeps into the turquoise, what happens? The copper oxidizes. So when copper oxidizes, where it reacts, it's actually reacting not to the water, it's reacting to the oxygen in the water. When copper oxidizes, what does it do? It turns green. That's why in the Parliament buildings, like in England and all this, the copper roofs have turned green. That wonderful green patina. So that's what happens with turquoise if you don't stabilize it. So they realized many years ago, how do we stop it from turning green? We want to preserve its natural blue color. Well, they call it stabilization. Basically, it's a fancy word for meaning waterproofing. So there's two ways of basically waterproofing turquoise. The main way, which is like 99% of all turquoise, is stabilized using a polymer, which is a funny term for plastic, just a word for plastic. And what happens is they take the turquoise and they will inject it with plastic, and the plastic, of course, will fill up the little gaps that I told you about, right? So now the water cannot enter the stone. That's why they call it stabilization, because they've stabilized the colors, like they've taken a snapshot, preserved the color to as the way they found it. So that's why whatever turquoise you buy, it's going to be stabilized with a stabilization of a polymer in 99% of the cases. True Sleeping Beauty is different. Sleeping Beauty was pure veins of robin's egg blue turquoise, and the structure was very pure. And there was an American gentleman that figured out a method of actually passing electricity, a direct current. Now, a direct current is the way your battery works. And interestingly, it was Thomas Edison, that invented that. So it's not like an alternating current. It's a direct current. And they pass a direct current through the turquoise, and over a period of time, the crystal structure closes up on itself. And it closes just enough to where it's smaller. That gap that I told you about is just a little bit smaller than the water molecule. So now the water molecule cannot penetrate it, it sits on top. In other words, it's naturally waterproof. So by doing that, they can stabilize it, preserve its color, but they don't use all that fancy plastics. Now that really only works with Sleeping Beauty, because Sleeping Beauty had an incredible pure formation. It was a lot of copper, and we know that's why we use copper for wires. Copper conducts electricity perfectly. And that's called the Zachary process. And actually, if you want to read about that, GIA Gems and Gemology, it would be the 1999 issue. They only do 4 a year. And that's available free of charge for you to download at GIA.education. And any American, anyone in the world, as a matter of fact, can download that article. You'll see the turquoise on the cover. You read it, and it'll tell you all about the Zachary process that I just spoke to you about. Anyway, turquoise comes in many, many different forms, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to explain to you why that happens. Turquoise likes to be mixed with other minerals. And this is why you're going to get all this variety of turquoise. Now, this was Sleeping Beauty. Now, this is all I can find in Sleeping Beauty as far as to show you an example, because do you see how pure that vein is of Sleeping Beauty? See when we cut it? This is pure robin's egg blue. The mine, by the way, closed in 2012 and was located in Arizona. So this mine here, the closed Sleeping Beauty, was able to produce vast quantities of this pure robin's egg blue turquoise, which is really, really quite extraordinary and consistent for color without the veining. But even this rough here, you can see there, it has a little bit of rock formation, that because this is basically what's left. During the heyday of the mine, guys, they were finding 2, 3, 4-inch slabs of pure turquoise with no matricing. Now, let me explain to you. Turquoise, when it forms, likes to rough it up and get mixed up with other minerals. So you can see here what's happened here. Here, the turquoise was embedded in rhyolite. Rhyolite is a basic mineral of rocks. And you can see here, it kind of clumped in little balls, almost like tapioca. And of course, and actually they call this bird's eye. So this is like the bird's eye turquoise. And this is naturally out of the Kingman mine. It's absolutely beautiful. But, you know, we've given all these turquoises various trade names and all this. It helps to make it more marketable. And honestly, a lot of people like the turquoise that has a lot of veining here. This is more of a traditional vein turquoise here. As you can see here, it's got the wonderful veining, and a lot of people will just cut that. And most turquoise that's available will have this type of veining. So this is natural for turquoise. This is what's called kaolin turquoise here. This is very beautiful. As you can see here, this natural color, this is not even stabilized yet. And kaolin turquoise is called kaolin turquoise because of this wonderful veining, which is fossilized kaolin clay. And this is all from Kingman. So basically, every single thing you see here is from the Kingman mine. The Kingman mine, except for this, that's Sleeping Beauty, but everything else here is from the Kingman mine. The Kingman mine is the last large operational mine in North America and still the largest producing mine in the world for turquoise. So it is like the last of what we have in turquoise, and all this came from Arizona. Arizona had the right climate and the right copper concentration and the dryness to actually support turquoise production. This here is Blue Crown. I'm going to put that into the shot. See how pure that is? That is Blue Crown turquoise. Today, some people that are selling Sleeping Beauty are actually selling Blue Crown. So this is Sleeping Beauty, that is not. They look similar, but they're not. These two mines are about, I think it's about 268 miles away from each other. That mine is closed, of course, but this one is still operational in Kingman, Arizona, hence the name the Kingman mine. You can see here other turquoise, and this is what we call, ever hear me on TV talk about a preform? That's what a preform looks like. So when they find a slab of turquoise, they will cube it. And from that, you can see here that we could cut an oval or we can cut a round. This is called a preform. So all turquoise will eventually starts off like this. We cut it into a preform, and from this we can make all the different shapes that you enjoy. Now, with turquoise here, I want to show you not all color is equal. Here is untreated. Look at that turquoise. So you see turquoise, the difference between, let's say, this and this turquoise here is the amount of copper. The copper content here is at least 5 times more than the copper content here if I were to do a chemical analysis. That's why this turquoise, it's okay, but it doesn't have a lot of color. Everybody wants that. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, when you buy turquoise, you have to ask, has it been dyed? Has the color been altered? Because how would I improve that? Simple. I would take that and I would immerse it inside of a copper oxide blue dye, you know? And by doing that, I would basically dye that to make it look more like this. But all this turquoise here is all natural color. In my work on television, 99.9% of the turquoise. I once sold some not stabilized turquoise, I'm sorry, that other form of turquoise that was dyed many years ago, about 15 years ago, but that was for a short period of time. Everything else I've ever sold is natural color. And that's Sleeping Beauty. It's all natural color from the Kingman mines. So, but that just goes to show you why they have to color. So it comes in different colors and all this. Now, turquoise does occur in other parts of the world. Let me take you all the way over to China. This, believe it or not, this green stone is turquoise. Now, the Chinese turquoise tends to come out a lot of green. There's reason for that. First of all, it does contain copper, but this one contains a little bit too much aluminum, so it's going to green it out. Also, in the area of China where they find this, it was wetter. Remember what I told you about the turquoise absorbing the water and eventually turning green? That's why Arizona turquoise is always so blue. It's so dry there, it's desert condition and devoid of water, that when the turquoise formed, it didn't have a chance to absorb water molecules to turn it green. That was not the case in China, of course. Now remember what I told you earlier on about Iran? Well, Iran, if you've ever been there, I've never been there, but it's very deserty, it's dry. Hence, that's why the Persian turquoise had a nice blue color, because it was dry. So there wasn't a lot of rainfall to change the turquoise from blue, to oxidize it to the green. So Chinese turquoise, just to bring it back, this, what they'll do is they'll take that and they will immerse this in a hot bath of blue dye for about 3 months, and then they'll cut it. And it'll look blue, but it's really not blue turquoise. It was blue turquoise maybe 80 million years ago. It turned green, and then they're turning it back blue by doing that dyeing process. So this just gives you a rough estimate of the different world of turquoise here. Now you take a look at this turquoise over here. This is from the Kingman mine. Now, ever wonder why sometimes we have little stones like this? That's because you got to cut them from these little tiny veins. Remember when I told you the turquoise? See, that's a vein, but that's a really small vein. Turquoise that was formed in the Sleeping Beauty mine, look how big those veins were. The veins were very big, very intense color. But believe it or not, Kingman sometimes can have some stones that even rival the Sleeping Beauty. It really does. So it's all a natural product. I've been to the mines itself. The excavation, the work they put to actually take this out of the mine is really, really, really quite extraordinary. So my advice is, if I was buying turquoise, obviously you want to buy Sleeping Beauty. But I'm going to be very honest with you. Real Sleeping Beauty, not the stuff that comes out of the Kingman that people are marketing as Sleeping Beauty. The mine closed a very, very long time ago. It's 9 years ago. I'm doing this video right now in 2021. The mine closed 9 years ago. Authentic Sleeping Beauty is almost impossible to find today. So a lot of the Sleeping Beauty that's being sold out there, just to be honest with you, what I do, I have mine tested. I have mine tested by GIA, and I make sure that it was waterproof with the Zachary process using electricity, because only Sleeping Beauty ever had that done to it. So I know that it's the real deal, and that's what I do. But just be a little careful out there, because there's a lot of Sleeping Beauty for a mine that was just been closed now. Soon it'll be 10 years. So just let everyone know. Turquoise is a beautiful stone. It's a stone that I love because I can wear it. I'm a guy. You can wear it if you're a guy. You can wear it if you're a gal. It's a stone that you can wear when you're 18 and you'll still wear when you're 88. It's that type of stone. Do you know what I mean? And you can wear it very casually, that Southwest type of jewelry that everyone loves, and I really love it myself. But I know that for our program, what we do is we make it very, very stylish. I just ran a beautiful piece on the Home Shopping Network, and it was a beautiful band ring and some earrings and all that in Sleeping Beauty. And we kind of jazz it up and give it that refined European flair. So it's really an amazing stone. And one of the reasons, too, is that why turquoise is so attractive is that it does have that copper. Well, copper actually will fluoresce to sunlight. So if you're wearing like a good turquoise, like Sleeping Beauty, and you're out there in a sunny day, the stone's almost like they have a color that pops, it glows. It's actually fluorescing blue. So it's blue, but it becomes bluer in UV light. So especially if you live like in Arizona, California, Florida, turquoise is an amazing stone to wear. You wear it in the daytime and bang, people from across the room notice the color, because again, it's that copper which really, really brings out the beautiful hue of of this turquoise. It's amazing that here we enjoy a stone today in the 21st century that people literally before the pyramids were built were enjoying. And here we are in a modern world flying around the world. You know, one day we'll land on Mars, and we love turquoise just as much as our ancestors did many, many, many eons ago. You know, it just goes to show you that good things last forever. And that's what turquoise is. I hope you love it. We have a lot on our website. We have a lot, of course, on HSN or the Canadian shopping channel called TSC. So wherever you want to buy turquoise, we have it for you. But turquoise is great. I hope you love it. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, as far as taking care of it, it doesn't really require a lot of care. Your turquoise should be stabilized either through the Zachary process that I talked to you about with, of course, the Sleeping Beauty, or the other way where they use a polymer. So it's generally okay for everyday wear. It actually is okay for everyday wear, but if you get it wet and all that, I really wouldn't worry about it so much. But with turquoise, if you're always going to be in the water, if you're going to swim in the ocean all the time, you might want to take it off, because eventually that water, that salt water, might begin to eat away at it a little bit if you have turquoise that's been stabilized with a polymer. So other than that, I think you're fine. I wouldn't necessarily use a harsh chemical cleaner on turquoise to clean it. The best way to clean all your jewelry, even your diamonds, honestly, is regular dish soap. I mean, I can say this because I'm on TV here. A great soap to use is, you know, like Dawn liquid, that because it has such a high degreaser. Just take a couple of drops in some warm water, dunk it in there with a soft toothbrush, just clean it and rinse it. That's all it really takes. You don't really have to spend a lot of money on these fancy jewelry cleaners or ultrasonics. You don't have to. That's all it takes to clean almost every single piece of jewelry you own, including your fashion jewelry, you know. But watch it with fashion jewelry. A lot of that has glue and all that. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Turquoise is great. I know you're going to love it. We have a lot of it, and it's something that will last forever. And it's enjoyed by men equally as it is enjoyed by women. So that's my little talk on turquoise. I hope you loved it. And make sure you own some, because it's something that you should own in your jewelry wardrobe, and it makes a perfect gift.